We're still alive. This is so exciting.
I know.
We asked you guys to ask us as many questions as you could. Our job today is to answer as many as we can. I tend to get body dysmorphia a lot, which makes me feel as though I'm not doing enough. How can I stay motivated and what can I do to move past this?
Enjoying that as opposed to really focusing on how you see yourself in the mirror. I never know if I'm eating enough and if it's at the right time.
I've been stuck at the same weight on a few exercises for a while now. Why can't I improve?
If you're looking to move past this period, then that's where
you hit the nail on the head. We're still alive. We're still doing what we do best, which is talk. This is so exciting.
I know. We're going to do our little crocodile clap to signify the new episode.
Yeah.
We are back with another episode.
And today we're answering all of your questions. We asked you guys to ask us as many questions as you could. Fitness, health, lifestyle related. And our job today is to answer as many as we can.
So let's get right into it. Question 1. Do you think it's better to train alone to see results? I don't know if getting a training partner is a waste of time. I can tell you as a fact, it is a waste of time to train.
Excuse me?
Saying this to my training partner. No, I don't think it's a waste of time at all. I think if anything, I would advise getting a training partner, especially if you don't really know what you're doing. And a lot of the time when you first start in the gym, it can feel really daunting and uncomfortable. So it's nice to have someone there with you to share that experience. You're never going to be able to push yourself as much as when you're with someone who's also spurring you on.
Yeah, I really agree. I think training partners, all banter aside, are the best thing for you to get. I think if you...
The way you said it, it's like go to a shop and like pick out a training partner.
Purchase one. Anyway, I think they do help push your limits, especially at the start, when it might not even be a matter if you don't know what you're doing. One of the biggest things is gym intimidation, and I think they really help ease that environment, make you feel a lot more comfortable. And if two people feel like they're looking stupid instead of one, who cares?
Yeah, I think the only time it's unproductive to have a gym partner is when you both just distract each other. We're quite bad for this.
No, but all in all, we do push each other.
We do train a lot, but we're also experienced gym goers. I think had we just started,
definitely,
it's easy to distract yourself and try and make yourself feel more comfortable if you don't already feel comfortable in the gym.
Definitely.
But it's just not going to help you see those gains. So.
Yeah. If you can get a nice balance, we don't train together every single day because we physically can't. You know, she has work, I have work. It's good to have a mix. You also do want to train alone. We train alone, I'd say at least half the week. And that's absolutely fine because that's just life. You're never going to be able to constantly be with one person.
You can't rely on somebody else to pick you up all the time.
You don't want to get too used to that. Definitely not. For whatever reason they can't go, then likely you won't go either. So you do want to make sure you're comfortable going on your own as well. Even if you just use that training partner as an initial step, and then you start to even it out a little bit more, a few days alone, a few days with them, that is the most beneficial way to train.
Yeah, so I think all in all, it's good to have a training partner, but be mindful of the company that you keep.
Yes.
Because they might not be so aligned with you in terms of staying invested in your workout.
Yeah.
Or maybe they want to train differently, so that's something to consider.
Exactly, you've got to work out what your goals are as well.
We train in a very similar way, so it's easy for us to train together and to hype each other up to do that. It's maybe harder if one person's training loads of cardio and the other's weight training.
On that point, that is another reason why we work in this field, why we're both personal trainers, online coaches, because we like to help people grow. We like to help people build a bit of confidence in that gym. So if you can't get a training partner, then
get us.
Technically the role we take. And there's enough clients that I'll train in twos together. And again, they like that. It gives them structure. It stops them getting distracted by each other. Stay accountable. And I would strongly suggest that too. If you are going with a training partner or you're not, and you still don't feel as though there's results, to make the most out of your gym time, hiring a coach could be a really good option as well. Definitely something worth considering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coaches are the best thing to invest in if you're looking for someone to keep you accountable and also to give you the correct knowledge and guidance to fast track your way to seeing progress. I never had a coach when I started my gym journey, and I took a very long time to get to where I am now, where I feel confident with the movements, I'm performing them safely. Having a coach is invaluable. I hope that answers your question. Moving on.
Question number 2. I tend to get body dysmorphia a lot, which makes me feel as though I'm not doing enough, and then stops me feeling motivated to go to the gym because I feel like nothing's making a difference. How can I stay motivated, and what can I do to move past this? Body dysmorphia, for those of you who don't know, is a mental health condition where a person spends a lot of time worrying about their appearance. I do believe this has heightened through social media, and this in itself is a huge topic that we will definitely delve into. However, this podcast will end up being a few hours long if we did that today. So we're going to talk very briefly on it, and we're going to answer your question as best as we can. Now, naturally, when you go to the gym, your appearance does become your main focal point because it's the thing that you're working on pretty much every single day. Naturally, the more you look at something, the more distorted it gets. I like to use that analogy of when you stare at a word for too long and then it doesn't look like a word anymore. I do that so much.
You do, and it makes so much sense. It's really true.
Yeah. Now, if it is to the point in which it disrupts your daily routine and it stops you doing things you would normally do, definitely talk to somebody. That is for a therapist or a counsellor, somebody of that profession. We are not registered therapists, so we do not want to give out the wrong advice to you. If you feel as though it's just something on your mind here and there and it does distort the way you look at yourself, there are some tools that we can give you to try and help you overcome that.
We can only give the advice that we can based on what might help you feel more motivated to shift your focus on going to the gym and enjoying that, as opposed to overly focusing on how you see yourself in the mirror.
It's the way in which you manage it. Now, if I stared at myself in the mirror 20 times a day, I would go crazy and I would start to doubt myself. You have to learn when to walk away and when to put these limits on yourself. If you can tell that you're starting to loiter around the mirror too much, you're starting to get a little bit picky, your mood is starting to deteriorate, that is when you need to walk away.
Looking at yourself in the mirror is a habit. Looking on your phone at particular moments is a habit. And a habit is always triggered by something. So it's about identifying what the trigger is and replacing the habit with something else. So instead of going on your phone, put something else in your hand so that you're doing that instead, and then it replaces the habit.
A big thing as well with that is product placement. So, for example, if naturally every time you get out the shower you go to look in the mirror, if you can, move your mirror. Or come up with a different habit instead. So every time you get out the shower, you move your chair where there's clothes on it, so you instantly put clothes on.
It's setting the intention, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like what you said, where you've prepared your clothes for after you've come out of the shower and you go to put the clothes on, already you're mitigating or you're eliminating the time where you might instead look in the mirror.
Exactly.
That's the first thing about habit control.
Yeah.
But the second thing is about the motivation in the gym.
Yes.
So that's an assessment of your why, of why it's important to you. You need to really narrow that down. Otherwise, anything you do just becomes purposeless.
Yeah.
And that's not going to keep you motivated or engaged in what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly. If you're somebody who journals or likes pretty posters, just write a big, fat, purposeful message that you can stare at every day. It sounds a little crazy, but it works. I last year created a huge collage of all my favourite inspirational quotes. I printed them out and I stuck them on a huge notice board in my office. So every time I naturally look up, I see them. It's little things like that that you don't realise make a difference that actually make the difference.
Absolutely. It's all about what you're focusing on. If you shift your focus and you allow that to be your focus by implementing it wherever you look, for example, social media, change who you're following. If you're following people who are not instilling good values, or you're following people, you're looking at them and you're feeling bad about yourself, then change that. Change who you're following. Follow some quote pages, TED Talk style pages where people are speaking about their experiences. Just anything that interests you that isn't necessarily a person, an image of what they look like.
Most people drive off of emotion more than anything else. So if you can make yourself feel good, that is a huge step in feeling motivated, feeling better about yourself. And one of the best ways to make yourself feel good is buy yourself new gym clothes, create a badass playlist, get yourself a cute water bottle, go with people that you love. Prior to the question we just answered before, talking about gym partners, that's another huge motivator. If you're going with somebody else and you're seeing their progress, even though you can't see your own, if you can see somebody else's, it does naturally instill a little bit more faith in you that maybe it is working for you too.
It's about creating the environment that's going to support your goals.
Exactly.
So yeah, making little changes like that. And I would say as well, tracking the progress that you make.
Yeah.
So not setting goals that seem unattainable, setting goals each day that you can realistically do and you can focus on. That's going to, over time, instill a sense that you're very capable of sticking to a routine that allows you to be healthy each day. A goal could be just to sign up to the gym, to be in the gym and try out some machines. At least if you're doing that, you're placing yourself there and you're mitigating the other habits, then you're far more likely to be focused on going to the gym and feel more motivated by it, because you'll see the results. I think another thing that we could say is actually just talking to other people about it.
Yeah.
Especially within the gym environment, there'll be plenty of people who experienced some form of body dysmorphia. It's important to speak to others because then you don't feel like such an outcast.
Yeah. Stops you feeling alone.
Yeah. Completely. It kind of helps you see that this is more widespread and here are some things that this person's done to mitigate that and so forth. Question 3. Does it matter what time I eat to get gains? I always try to have a lot of protein after my workouts, but I never know if I'm eating enough and if it's at the right time.
It's just that silence where we just stare at each other like, who's gonna talk? So the time you eat does actually matter a lot more than people think. Now, naturally, earlier in the day, your body processes calories a lot more effectively. Blood sugar levels are also a lot lower. The later you eat at night, the more your blood sugar levels are going to rise with that, the less effectively those calories will be processed and the more likely they will be stored as fat. This is not to say do not eat at night, because you do need to eat. You need to fuel your body throughout the day. If you're like myself or Frankie and you're more of a morning trainer, then it doesn't really matter, in the sense of you want to be eating something small, like a snackish, around 30 minutes before you train. Something high carb, high sugar, just something to raise those blood sugar levels, release those energy stores and help you perform to the best of your ability. So ideally around 30-45 minutes before you work out is when you want to be eating something small beforehand. Anything less than that won't be digested in time, so you won't feel the full effects. If you're going to be eating a big meal before, for example, if you're up naturally really early but you don't get a chance to work out maybe till 2 or 3 hours later, you want to eat your big breakfast maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours before you work out.
If you're eating just before you work out, say within 10 minutes of working out, you could have indigestion from working out and you could feel a bit sick.
Yeah, exactly that. So just try to time them as best as you can. I'm not saying sit with a stopwatch on, but just be mindful and acknowledge the times in which you usually eat, the times in which you usually train, and try to adapt the best as you can, and that will give you optimal results. When it comes to the protein aspect. If you're somebody that wants to gain muscle, which most people in the gym do, even if you're trying to lose weight, chances are you're trying to build muscle alongside of that. And even if you don't, you do need adequate protein. It helps you with your recovery after the gym, prevents muscle soreness. So you want to be looking at having anywhere between 1.2 grams to 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So for example, if you weigh 60 kilos and you're eating 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight a day, you would be having 120 grams of protein a day.
It doesn't overly matter exactly when you're eating protein. It can be beneficial to eat it in the morning so that you're feeling full. It can be beneficial to have it after you've trained to help with delayed onset muscle soreness, so the recovery of your muscles.
If you're not specifically tracking and you don't want to be looking at all the grams of everything you're eating, which is fair enough, then just try to make sure you're eating protein with every meal. Things that are high in protein are a lot of meats, a lot of fish, eggs. And if you're vegetarian or you're vegan, things like pulses, things like lentils, soya, tofu, there's so many different things that you can buy. A lot of nuts are high in protein if you're looking for snacks. Okay, so question 4. I've been stuck at the same weight on a few exercises for a while now. Why can't I improve? What am I doing wrong? It's so hard.
The answer's in the question. If you're at the same weight, then you're not progressively overloading. And when you progressively overload, for example, through adding repetitions or adding more weight, then you're challenging your muscles to work harder. And that's what's going to see growth, because your muscles have to grow to support the stresses you're putting them under. When you're not seeing progress and your efforts feel quite stagnant, this is what's known as a plateau. These stagnant periods tend to happen after moments of progress and growth, especially when you're first starting in the gym. It's quite easy to see the gains you're making because suddenly you're doing things that you wouldn't have previously done. So it's obvious to see that progress at that point. But then it does go stagnant when you're repetitively doing something and you're not continually challenging yourself. These stagnant periods are completely normal and part of the journey, so it is something to be mindful of and accept that you're going to experience it at some point. However, if you're looking to move past this period, then that's where progressive overload applies. So, as I say, adding more weight to exercises, adding more repetitions, switching up your routine so that you're challenging your muscles in a new way. Sometimes taking a week off can be really good for your recovery and focusing on other areas of your health, like your sleep and how much you're keeping hydrated.
You've hit the nail on the head. I think that's absolutely perfect. If you can just track your progress and you stick to that overload and switching those routines up, but in a structured way, no doubt you will push past the plateau and you'll keep growing guns like these. We have finished episode 1. We have so many more questions of yours to answer.
Yes, we'll be bringing way more episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this episode.
We really appreciate all the love and support that you guys give us. It does not go unnoticed. Please drop us a like, comment, share.
It really goes a long way in helping us grow and make more episodes to help you guys. You have been listening to Gains and Gossip.